Welcome po ulit mula sa LL7 Sola Scriptural Ministries. Ay nahatid po namin sa inyo ang series sa pag-aaral ng Daniel sa Lumang Tipan. Gaya po ng ating nakagawian, mula tayong nagpasimula, magpapasimula po tayo sa pamagitan ng panalangin. Tayo po yumuko at tayo manalangin. Ang manamban na sumasalangit, salamat po na kami makapag-aral ng banal na kasulatan. Binubuksan po namin ang aklat ng Daniel upang maunawaan namin ang iyong paggabay sa kasaysayan. Alam po namin through history, the Lord has moved, and as we see the mighty hand of God move in order for His plan of redemption to be achieved, we are so thankful that we are part of that plan. And we pray that those who are watching here in the studio and in their homes will also be part of that redemption plan, and they can find eternal life in Jesus our Lord. Bigyan po kami ng bukas na pag-iisip, tumutugon ng mga puso, alang-alang sa inyo, hiniling po namin ng lahat sa pangalan namin Panginoong Yesus. Amen. Meron pong dalawang magkapatid, they were hoodlums, mga krimen. Nandun sila sa isang lugar na medyo relihiyoso, maraming churches doon. Nagkasakit yung kapatid niya. Nung nagkasakit yung kapatid niya, namatay. Sabi niya, hindi naman maganda pag inilibing ko yung kapatid ko, lagi kaming tinutudyo ng mga tao. Sabi niya, ganyan, those two brothers were the hoodlums, they were part of the syndicates, they just messed up this whole town. Kaya sabi niya, pumunta din siya sa pastor. Sabi niya, Pastor, alam ko nagpapatayo ka ng isang kapilya, I will give you enough money to build your chapel on one condition, that you say you conduct the funeral of my brother, and during the funeral, you will tell everybody that my brother is a saint. Nako, sabi nung pastor, mukhang mahirap yan. Pero sabi ng pastor, sige, payag ako. Nako, nung nadinig na lahat ng mga taong bayan, everybody gathered in the funeral. Usabang nag-funeral, tumayo na yung pastor. Tapos pasimula na siya sa sinasabi niya, here lies before you. Yan nakaburol sa harap ninyo. One of the greediest, the most wicked. Pinakamasamang taong maiisip nyo, ganid lahat na maiisip nyo, pinakamasama. Wala nang sasama dito. But compared to his brother, he's a saint. Kaya nakuha niya yung pera, nagpatayo siya ng kapilya. Pinasimulan ko po ang ating pag-aaral noon. Paano nung kapanahon ni Daniel, merong dalawang co-regents, yung si King Nabonidus at saka si King Belshazzar. Pag-aaralan natin ngayon, tutunghayan natin sa episode ng Daniel. Bago po tayo pumunta dun sa kwento, i-reviewin po natin yung kayasim. Tandaan niyo yung kayasim ng Daniel, di ba? Dadun pa tayo sa historical part. Kaya titignan natin ulit. Sa chapter 2, we see the vision of the kingdoms. And then, in a little while, papag-aralan natin the vision of the kingdoms in chapter 7. We studied the trial of God's people in the fiery furnace. Pinag-aralan natin yan. And we saw the exaltation of God in the conversion of Nebuchadnezzar. Ang pag-aaralan naman natin ngayon, itong exaltation of God in the judgment of Belshazzar, tapos susundan natin the trial of God's people in the lion's den. So as long as we know the chiasm, natapos tayo sa trial and the vindication of God's people, we will not go into the exaltation of God, which is the apex of the chiasm. God will be exalted not only in conversion, but also in judgment. Uulitin ko yung chronology para nalalaman natin yung pagkakasunod-sunod in time nung nangyayari ng events sa Daniel. No? Ito yung mga hari, si King Nebuchadnezzar, si King Belshazzar, si Darius nung the Mede, and then Cyrus the Great. Very soon, pag-aaralan natin ang timeline yan. Pero alam natin, ang unang nanaginip, the first dream was from Nebuchadnezzar. Then you have the incident of the fiery furnace, and Nebuchadnezzar's second dream, yung humiliation ni Nebuchadnezzar. And then, very shortly, Daniel has a first dream, the first vision. And we will cover that in a little while. And then Daniel has the second vision under Belshazzar. But this is where we are right now. Itong pag-aaralan natin, the writing on the wall. Si Nebuchadnezzar ay namatay na. Napalitan siya ng iba't ibang mga hari. at this point si Belshazzar ang hari ng Babylonia. But he is not the king of the Babylon Empire alone, because he was ruling the entire empire, but he was designated by his father to just be the king of Babylon. Therefore, he is the king of Babylon right here. And after Daniel sees his second vision, which we will cover, there was a writing on the wall. This was the fall of Babylon, and we will cover that right now. And then, of course, the rest of this is another half of the Daniel, which we will cover, the prophetic side of the book. Itong taon to ay si Zach Dennis from nasa Palm Beach siya, Florida. Siya ay wanted. Tumakas siya eh. He has been arrested. Dapat ikukulong siya. Tumakas siya. So he is on the run. One day, ginawa ng mga pulis dun sa Lima, Florida, nag-post sila sa Facebook ng mugshot. Ito, pinakita nila sa Facebook. Sabi, we are looking for this man. He needs to be arrested. He is on the loose. He is a dangerous threat to society. Nakita ni Zach Dennis, hindi niya nagustuhan yung mukha niya. Sabi niya, ginawa niya, sumulat siya dun sa police department. That is a really, really bad shot. Sabi niya, here is a better photo, that one is terrible. So kinunan niya yung sarili niya, selfie. Habang nagmamanehe siya nung SUV, ang ganda-ganda, naman naka-shades pa siya, tapos nag-selfie siya. Pinadala niya ngayon doon sa police. Sabi niya, palitan niyo yung nasa Facebook. Kung inahanap wanted, ilagay niyo naman yung maganda kong picture. Hindi pinadala niya. Alam nangyari, dinaresto siya. Okay? It's dumb sometimes what we do just because believe tayo sa sarili. Meron kaming kasabihan nung kapanahon na namin, nung matagal na yun. Pare, SBSS. Alam niyo ba ibig sabihin ng SBSS? Sobrang bilib sa sarili. Okay? Pag sobrang bilib kayo sa sarili mo, you do some dumb things. Okay? Ngayon, kagaya na sinabi natin, ang ating pag-aaral ngayon is about somebody who is SBSS. Isang hari na gustong-gusto na siya ang laging sikat. Okay? And God, even in the pride of some men, even the pride of kings, will be exalted. In this particular case, he will be exalted to the judgment of a king. I'll give you another diagram so you'll better understand what happened to the kingship and the rulership of Babylon. Okay, ito si Nabopolassar, yan ang tatay ni Nebuchadnezzar during the Neo-Babylonian Empire, which is the height of the Babylonian Empire. Si Nebuchadnezzar ang naging hari from 605 to 562. Tapos nung namatay si Nebuchadnezzar, pinalitan siya ni Evil Merodach. Kaya tinawag na Evil Merodach. Evil kasi. And then, pinalitan ni Negrilisar. Pinatay siya, no? There were just assassinations left and right. And finally, Nitocris married Nabonidus. Nitocris is the daughter of Nebuchadnezzar. He married Nabonidus, and when Nabonidus was enthroned as a king, ang ginawa ni Nabonidus, pinalitan niya, nagkaroon siya ng religious reform. The chief god of the Babylonians was Marduk. Pero ang gusto ni Nabonidus ay yung moon god na Sin, ang pangalan ng moon god Sin. Kaya sabi niya, gusto kong palitan ng relihiyon ng buong Babylonia. Nagalit sa kanya yung lahat ng mga citizens ng Babylon. So you know what he did? Ang ginawa niya, sabi, sige, kung ayaw niyong palitan ko si Marduk dito, magtatayo ako sa Arabia ng isang temple para sa God of Sin. The moon god, the Sin god. Kaya iniwan niya ang Babylon, although he was the king of Babylon, he went to Arabia and spent years there para itayo yung templo nitong moon god na to. Ano nangyari nung iniwan niya? Nasa Arabia siya. Iniwan niya ngayon ang kanyang anak na si Belshazzar. Kaya kung babasahin yung history, you will not see Belshazzar as the king of Babylon in terms of the writings. But the explanation is that there were two kings. He was co-regent. Si Belshazzar was the king of Babylon in the absence of Nabonidus who was in Arabia. At least malinaw yon, and that has been attested to habang kino-compare natin yung archaeological finds. So we look at what I call the inviolable Christ of Daniel, which means you cannot violate him. Because in this story, you will know how Belshazzar irreverently, almost blasphemous, violated the honor of the God of Daniel. Okay? Ang first part nung ating pag-aaral is Christ cannot be violated in decadence. What happened? Ito Ito yung pasimula ng kwento. Sabi, King Belshazzar made a great feast for 1,000 of his lords and drank wine in front of the 1,000. Nagpa-party si King Belshazzar. Ilan ang inimbita? 1,000. And these were not regular people. These were noblemen. There were royalties in the kingdom. Inimbita niya para sila mag-party. And what were they supposed to do? Anong ginagawa nila pag nagbabanquet yung mga hari nung kapanahon nila? How do you party? You do not party without wine. They started drinking a lot of wine. Belshazzar, when he tasted the wine, commanded that the vessels of gold and of silver that Nebuchadnezzar's father had taken out of the temple in Jerusalem be brought, that the king and his lords, his wives, and his concubines might drink from them. Maraming nagsasabi, hindi na ba natakot si Belshazzar dun sa Diyos ni Daniel? No, that's what happens to you pag nalasing ka. Hindi ka nakakapag-isip. That's why, sabi, wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging. Huwag niyong paglaruan ang pag-inom. In fact, sabi, drinking and driving doesn't go. Maraming namamatay dahil sa drunken driving. Whether it's driving or not, alcohol is not good for you. He lost his senses. Anong sinabi ni Belshazzar? Bring the vessels of the temple of the God of the Jews. What will I do? You get those vessels, yun ang punuin natin ng alak, we will drink from them. Grabe, no? Wala siyang takot. And you will see the blasphemy and the irreverence that started here. Then they brought in the golden vessels that had been taken out of the temple, the house of God in Jerusalem, and the king and his lords, his wives and his concubines drank from them. This is adding insult to injury. Why? Tinuha nilang captives yung Israelites, kinuha nila yung vessels ng temple, they desecrated the temple of the Israelites, they desecrated their God, tapos dinala nila dun sa sarili nilang God sa Babylon, and now they bring out the vessels into a party, a drunken party, and in the party, they took those vessels, filled them with wine, and they started drinking. Anong ginawa nila? They drank, okay? And they went and praised whom? The gods of gold and silver, bronze, iron, wood, and stone. Sabi, if you can imagine the scene, they were not only drinking, di lang sila naglalasing. Habang uminom sila, nag-aawitan yan at kinakanta nila yung praises ng sarili nilang Diyos. Nakakita na ba kayo ng mga laseng na nag-aawitan? Usually, pag nagpupunta ka sa kalye, pag lasing na, nag-aawitan na yung mga tao. Dito, hindi lang sila nag-aawitan. They were singing praises to their God using the vessels of the God of Israel. Ano ba yung mga vessels na ito? Ito yung recorded, sabi nila, ito daw yung mga kinuha. Look, I researched this. There were 30 gold dishes, 1,000 silver dishes, 29 silver pans, 30 gold balls, 410 duplicate silver balls, 1,000 miscellaneous items. All told, there were 5,400 gold and silver articles. Ito ang kinuha nila sa temple ng Jerusalem when they destroyed the temple, took it to the temple of Marduk. Now they took it out so they can go into their party, their orgy, and their drunken party and banquet so that they can drink from the cup of the Yahweh in order to praise their gods. So, in decadence, sumunod yung denunciation. When I say denunciation, sa gitna ng revelry nila, in the midst of that blasphemy, God intervenes. Ano, hindi naman pinababayaan ng Diyos na parang babastusin mo na lang yung pangalan niya. There comes a point when God said, enough. Ang gagawin ko, papatunayan ko siya kung sino ang Diyos. And in fact, this is what happened. Immediately, the fingers of a human hand appeared and wrote on the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. Opposite, what? The lampstand. And the king saw the hand as it wrote. All of a sudden, kita mo, naglalasingan yan lahat na yan. They were drinking from the golden vessels of the temple. Biglang may lumabas na kamay. Kamay lang. Anong tao? Anong ginawa ng kamay? Nagsulat. Nagsulat dun sa wall. The hand wrote on the wall. Tapos ito, then the king's color changed. And his thoughts alarmed him. His limbs gave way, and his knees knocked together. Grabe ito, very picturesque ito. No? Sino sa inyo natakot na pumalakpak yung mga tuhod nyo? You know what that means? Pag takot ka, talagang hindi lang tataas mga balahibo. Minsan pag natakot, nanginginig ka. And the king was so terrified. How terrified was he? He was shaking and his knees were knocking against each other. Grabe, no? Lasing ito, hindi na makapili, nagkakagulo-gulo na sila, biglang nakita ng kamay, nagsulat, and his color changed, namutla siya. In other words, matapos siyang mamutla, nanginig. Paano siya nanginig? Pumapalakpak ang kanyang tuhod sa takot. The king called loudly to bring in the enchanters, the Chaldeans, and the astrologers. Another theme in the book of Daniel. Every time something happens like this, they call the wise men so that something might be interpreted and they can understand what's going on. In fact, ganun na naman ang nangyari dito. Sabi nung hari, hindi ko maintindihan, may nakasulat dyan. Tawagin natin yung mga pantas, yung magagaling dito sa karayan. Sabihin niyo sa akin kung ano nakasulat dun sa wall. Then all the king's wise men came in, but they could not read the writing or make known to the king the interpretation. Ayun na naman ang kwento. Tatawagin yung Babylonian wise men, enchanters, the Chaldeans, lahat tatawagin. Ano nangyayari? Hindi nila alam kung ano ibig sabihin. Alright? Nahulaan niyo ba ang susunod? Alam niyo na yung pattern, di ba? Hindi nila alam. Tatawagin yung mga wise men. Sasabihin wise men, hindi namin kaya, hindi namin alam, hindi mapapaliwanag. Ano susunod? Tatawagin nila si Daniel. Paano si Daniel lang ang makapagpaliwanag nung hindi nila maunawaan? Then King Belshazzar was greatly alarmed and his color changed and his lords were perplexed. The queen, because of the words of the king and his lords, came into the banqueting hall and the queen declared, O king, live forever, let not your thoughts alarm you or your color change. Nadinig nung queen. Yung queen hindi yung asawa ni Belshazzar. In the Babylonian realm, pag tinawag na queen, pwedeng queen mother. Kaya yung nanay niya yung pinaka-reyna. Ang sabi, grabe, may nangyayari sa anak ko, naglalasingan sila doon, and then natatakot, medyo malaking there's malaking threat doon. So, pumunta siya, sabi niya, okay, live forever. Ayun niya, let not your thoughts alarm you or your color change. Huwag ka matakot. Bakit? Meron siyang solusyon. There is a man in your kingdom in whom is the spirit of the holy gods. And King Nebuchadnezzar, your father, the king, made him chief of the magicians. Ito na po yung sinasabi natin, di ba? Hindi alam ng mga wise men, hindi mapaniwanag. Ang susunod, dadating si Daniel. Paano dadating si Daniel? Sinong tumawag? The queen mother. Obviously, Daniel was not invited into the party. Did you get that? Alam niyo man, hindi manlalasing si Daniel. Okay, so because Daniel wasn't there, he wasn't part of this blasphemy. Daniel will never do that. So he was in his quarters. Dumating yung queen mother, sabi niya, meron makapagpaliwanag siya, tawagin natin ito si Daniel. He is not an ordinary man. Why? Anong sabi? Because your king, King Nebuchadnezzar, your father, actually your grandfather, the king made him chief of the magicians. Ito ang pinakamagaling dun sa lahat ng mga pantas na tinrain ni Nebuchadnezzar. Sabi, no? Because an excellent spirit, knowledge, and understanding to interpret dreams were found in this Daniel, whom the king named Belteshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will show the interpretation. Ito na, sabi nung queen mother, gusto mong maunawaan, maintindihan yung nakasulat dyan, meron isang taong magbibigay siya kagaya nung kagalingang pinakita kay King Nebuchadnezzar. Tawagin natin, papasukin natin si Daniel. So the story continues. Then Daniel was brought in before the king. The king answered and said to Daniel, now, if you can read the writing and make known to me its interpretation, you shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. You have to understand this passage. Hindi niyo ma-appreciate kung hindi tayo babalik dun sa unang slide na pinakita ko sa inyo. At this point in the story of Daniel, has Daniel received two dreams. He has received two visions. Alam niya na merong kingdom na susunod sa Babylon. In other words, hindi na magtatagal itong kingdom na ito, mapapalit na. And then, here comes Belshazzar. He is offering Daniel rulership of the kingdom. Sabi ni Belshazzar, kung ikaw ay mapapaliwanag mo sa akin yung pagkakasulat dyan sa wall, you know what? I will reward you and I will make you third ruler of the kingdom. Another point, another proof that there was co-regency. Bakit third ruler? Why not second ruler? Paano may dalawang ruler? Sino yung dalawang ruler? Ulitin natin. Si Nabonidus na nasa Arabia, tapos si Belshazzar na king dito sa Babylon. Kaya sabi ni Belshazzar, pangatlo, gagawin natin tatlo ang hari ng Babylonia. Kung sino man ikaw si Daniel, paliwanag mo sa akin, when you interpret the dream, you will be the third ruler in the kingdom. But Daniel knew this. Daniel didn't care about the rulership. Let your gifts be for yourself and give your rewards to another. Nevertheless, I will read the writing to the king and make known to him the interpretation. Sabi ni Daniel, alam niya yung nangyayari. Useless na yung kingdom mo. Bakit mo ibibigay sa akin? Itago mo na lang ibibigay mo sa akin mga handog. Pero sabi niya, papaliwanag ko pa rin sa iyo kung ano nakasulat dun sa wall. O King, the Most High God gave Nebuchadnezzar your father kingship and greatness and glory and majesty. But when his heart was lifted up, he was brought down from his kingly throne, and his glory was taken from him. Tandaan nyo, nung huling episode, the glory of Babylon went to the head of Nebuchadnezzar, and he thought he was the greatest king. He was so proud. Anong kinikwento ito ni Daniel? Anong nangyari? The greatness. He was so lifted up. Anong ginawa ng Diyos? He was brought down. He was humbled so he can understand who God was. And his glory was taken away from him. He was driven from among the children of mankind, and his mind was made like that of a beast until he knew the Most High God rules the kingdom of mankind and sets over it whom he will. Anong ginagawa ni Daniel? He is reviewing what happened to Nebuchadnezzar. Ang sinasabi ni Daniel, you know what happened to your father Nebuchadnezzar when God humbled him is happening to you right now. Yun ang sinasabi niya. Pero sabi ni Daniel, in other words, kung nangyari yan sa tatay mo at God woke him up and humbled him so he can fear him, ginagawa rin sa iyo ng Diyos yan para makilala mo kung sino ang Diyos. And I don't know if it's registering, whether lasing na siya o hindi talaga naintindihan. He had no interest in the God of Daniel. And you, his son, your Belshazzar, have not humbled your heart, though you knew all this, but you have lifted yourself against the Lord of heaven. There comes the denunciation. After the decadence of the party, the denunciation of Daniel comes. Sabi niya, ginawa yan ng Diyos sa tatay mo, nakita ng tatay mo kung gaano kadakila ang Diyos namin. The God of Yahweh, the God of the children of Israel, He's so great, He's omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent. Sinabi nila, nakilala yan ng tatay mo, pero ikaw, what's the difference between you and Nebuchadnezzar? You never humbled yourself. So it's very portentous. Sabi ni Daniel, may dadating na hindi maganda because you did not humble yourself, you'll be subjected to the judgment of God. And you have praised the God which do not see or hear or know, but the God in whose hand is your breath and whose are all your ways you have not honored. Sabi natin, ni Daniel, anong ginawa mo? Nag-inuman kayo, kinain nyo yung golden vessels. Habang nag-inuman kayo, nag-awit lang kayo, pinupuri nyo yung mga Diyos nyo. Anong klaseng mga Diyos yun? Sabi ni Daniel, mga Diyos na hindi nakakita, hindi nakakadinig, na walang alam. They are inanimate, and yet you worship them. And yet, yung Diyos, the God in whose hand is your breath. Ngunit yung Diyos na dahil sa Kanya, ikaw ay nabubuhay. Because of Him, you're alive. You gotta realize that you won't be here if not for that God. You ignore that God. Instead, you worship the God of woods and stones and metals who cannot hear, who doesn't even know. And from His presence, the hand was sent, and this writing was inscribed. And this is the writing that was inscribed. Ano nakalagay dun sa inscription? Mene tekel upharsin. Mene tekel parsin. Sinulat ko ito, siguro makakantindi. Hindi naman natin kailangan magbasa ng Hebrew. But that's the way it's written down. This is the breakdown of the meaning of the writing on the wall. Yung una is amina. 60 gold shekels equals 1 mina. And the verb is to number. And the second is an Aramaic spelling of shekel, 1/60th of a mina. Tekel is to weigh. A plural form of the minas are half minas. And then you have a half mina, and paras is Persia to break apart. Tignan natin how this was interpreted by Daniel. Mene, ano sabi daw, ibig sabihin ng mene? God has numbered the days of your kingdom and brought it to an end. Merong pinalabas na award-winning Filipino movie nung kapanahon ng ko pa, hindi pa kayo pinapanganak noon. Nung kapanahon ng ko, meron silang pinalabas. Isa sa pinakamagaling na director sa Pilipinas, si Lino Broca. One of his masterpieces, ang una niyang film na nilabas na masterpiece ay pinamagatan, Tinimbang Ka, Ngunit Ikaw Ay Kulang. You have been weighed in the balances and you've been found wanting. Your days are numbered. In Tekel, sabi doon, tinimbang ka, ngunit ikaw ay kulang. You have been weighed in the balances and found. Ano ibig sabihin noon? Pag tinimbang ka, ngunit ikaw ay kulang. In other words, there's a shortcoming, hindi ka nakaabot, meron kang pagkukulang. Sapagkat may pagkukulang, pagbabayaran mo yung pagkukulang mo. Peres, your kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. Another angle, Mene, Tekel, Parsin, Mene, God has numbered the days of your kingdom and brought it to an end. Tekel, you have been weighed in the balances and found wanting. Peres, your kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. Then Belshazzar gave the command, and Daniel was clothed with purple. A chain of gold was put around his neck, and a proclamation was made about him that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. What's the scenario? Just imagine it in your head. Finally, Daniel expresses the meaning of the writing on the wall to Belshazzar. And Belshazzar said, okay, naintindihan na daw niya. Tapos ginawa niya, binigyan niya ng gold, all those paraphernalia, and made Daniel the ruler. And yet, ang nakakatawa niyan, hindi niya nare-realize the message of the writing on the wall was his judgment. Maganda dito, merong isang a Bible teacher said, the way you should read that is actually, hindi ko magagamit siguro sa Pilipino, gagamitin ko yung currency ng Amerika. Because it's really a play on words. It's a play on words on currency. Kung sasabihin daw natin, Mene, Tekel, Parsin, ang ibig sabihin noon in the US language, in the English language, dollar, quarter, nickel. Okay? Ulitin natin. Dollar, quarter, nickel. What's the play on words? Ganun daw yung play on words. Dollar. You think your kingdom is worth a lot of dollars? Second quarter, I'm telling you, your kingdom is about to be quartered. And when your kingdom is quartered, I won't even give a nickel for your kingdom. Yun ang ibig sabihin. That's the best. Ang ganda, yun ang pinakamagandang translation na dinig ko. Mabigat yung language na ginamit. Pero sinabi, ikaw akala mo, ang galing-galing mo. Pero ngayon, babagsak ka. Pagbagsak mo, wala ka ng halaga. Yun ang sinasabi ng Mene, Tekel, Parsin. Okay, so let's review. You cannot violate Christ in decadence. Neither can you violate him in denunciation. Now let's look at the attempted violation of Christ in destruction. Cyrus the Great, nearly 150 years before Cyrus' birth, God declared to the prophet Isaiah that a man named Cyrus would be the anointed shepherd of his people and rebuild Jerusalem. Okay, let me try to explain this to you, and we'll cover this more. Pag-aaralan pa natin si Cyrus pagdating natin sa Daniel 8. Cyrus was born to Cambyses I, okay? And according to Herodotus, he was the greatest Persian king of all. Wala daw gagaling pa kay Cyrus among the Persians. And according to the Bible, who chose Cyrus? What does the Bible say? It was God himself who chose Cyrus. Sabi daw ng mga Bible writers, when it comes to the Messiah, ginagamit yung word na Messiah, who does the Messiah refer to? It refers to Jesus Christ. There is only one other person in the entire Bible to whom the Messiah points to, and that other person is Cyrus. Bakit ginagamit yun? Ito yung kwento. The children of Israel were taken captives into Babylon, and God promised them, after 70 years of captivity, I will bring you back to Jerusalem, and you will rebuild the temple, you will rebuild my nation, so that the Messiah will come. Pinag-aralan natin yon. And you know what? Sabi dito, sino ang mag-i-initiate ng restoration? This will be the king who will initiate the restoration. Remember, Cyrus is not Babylonian. Cyrus is Medo-Persian. Kaya ang sabi dun sa hula, hindi ang Babylon ang magbabalik sa inyo, because Babylon will fall, and when Babylon falls to the Medo-Persians, the Persians will send you back and restore Jerusalem and your nation. Sabi sa Isaiah 44:28, Cyrus, he is my shepherd, and He shall fulfill all my purpose. I hope you see the impact of this. Ito, hindi ito naniniwala si Diyos. Yes, wala siyang kamuwang-muwang kung sino si Yahweh. And yet, it was God controlling him. Yes, He was in control even with the birth of Cyrus in the kingdom of Cyrus. Bakit kinontrol ng Diyos ang buhay ni Cyrus? Because he was the instrument of God to restore His people. Even in non-believers, even in pagan kings, God is in control. So let's look at what happened in the story. Who says to the deep, be dry, I will dry up your rivers. Kaya tandaan nyo, di ba? Ang laki-laki ng walls ng Babylon, right? Ang laki-laki ng walls ng Babylon. Gaano kalapad yung walls ng Babylon? Sabi natin kahapon. 2 4-horse chariots can run and never race there. Kumbaga sa atin yun, pag dikitin mo yung dalawang maluwang na kotse, makakatakbo dun sa walls ng Babylon. Okay? Kaya, ang kapal-kapal nun, ang taas-taas, hindi mapapasok ng kalaban. Kaya one of the greatest kingdoms of antiquity, ang Babylon. Kaya si Belshazzar, walang worry, sabi niya. Kahit na nakapaligid na yung Persians, alam niya pala nakapaligid na eh. Hindi sila makakapasok. Ang kapal-kapal kasi ng mga pader nitong kahariang ito. Pero ano sabi ito? Who says to the deep, be dry, I will dry up your rivers. Hindi ito naintindihan ni Isaiah nung binigay sa kanyang prophecy. Pero ganito nangyari. Paano nilang napasok ang Babylonia? The story is told that they created the dam. They rerouted the water of the Euphrates River. Okay? I hope you see this picture. Babylon is situated right in the middle of the Euphrates River. During the time of the Babylonians in the ancient times, for you to flourish as a city, wala pang mga irrigation nun, wala pa yung mga sewer system kagaya natin ngayon. For you to flourish as a city, kailangan meron kang body of water. Okay? That's why Euphrates was the main river in the Middle East. And Sumer and Babylonia flourished. Pagdadating tayo sa Asia, there is another body of water that made India flourish. Anong river sa India? The Ganges, okay? Wherever there's a river, there is a great civilization, a great kingdom. And Babylon was right there, smack in the middle of the Euphrates River. Nakita mo, ang kakapal ng wall nakapaligid sa Babylon, pero may ilog na tumatagos dun sa gitna ng Babylon. Ngayon ko ikaw papasok sa Babylon, hindi ka makakapasok ang kapal-kapal ng wall, pero sabi ng mga Persians, may paraan. Anong gagawin natin? Doon tayo sa ilog dadaan para tayo makapasok. Paano tagos yung Babylonia eh? Pero yung problema, pag dumaan tayo sa ilog, malulunod tayo. Hindi tayo makakapasok. Ngayon, remember, and we will study this, will be very fascinating when we go to Persia and we talk about Alexander the Great and Darius. The Persians were great engineers. They built magnificent structures. You know how great the engineers of Persia was? There was a time they wanted to conquer Greece. Eh, ang problema sa Greece, tatawid ka sa body of water. Eh, kailangan thousands of Persian soldiers needed to cross that water. Hindi sila makatawid. Walang tulay. Alam mo ang ginawa ng Persian king? Gumawa siya ng mga pontoon. Pinagdikit-dikit niya yung mga barko. Para mula doon sa isang dulo from land to the other side of the land, nakadikit lahat yung mga barko. He anchored all those boats. Tapos pinatag niya. Doon pinadaan yung army. That's how good in maritime engineering the Persians were. Kaya ito, chicken lang sa kanila nangyari. Anong ginawa nila? Ginawa nila habang nagpaparty si Belshazzar, they rerouted the water of Euphrates. Ano ibig sabihin nun? Hindi na dadaloy ang tubig in the middle of Babylon. Matutuyo yung tubig. And it took them, I think, according to historical records, it took them overnight to do that. After they rerouted the water, nung wala ng tubig yung Euphrates, simple lang ang ginawa nila. They did not lift the sword. Sabi nila, tubig naman daw umabot hanggang binte. Pero who cares? Nandun na may sundalo. Pumasok sila sa ilalim ng Babylon. And they entered the city. And more than that, ang problema pala, di ba, may outer wall tsaka inner wall. And delikado pala, pag nakapasok ka na sa Babylonia dun sa outer wall, kailangan pumasok ka pa sa inner wall. And this inner wall, ang laki ng gates. There were iron gates, hindi ka makakapasok. And nang dahil nagpa-party, hindi nila sinarado yung gates. So they went under the Euphrates River. Pagpasok nila doon, bukas yung gate. Dire-diretso. They did not lift up any weapon. And they went and arrested Belshazzar, and Belshazzar met his death that evening. Cyrus was right, and I have grasped to subdue nations before him, and to loose the belts of kings, to open the doors before him, that gates may not be closed. Ito yung another rendition para makita nyo. Ano nangyayari dito? They're already going underneath Babylon. Paano tinuyunan nila yung tubig ng Euphrates. But all of this, before this happened, was recorded by Isaiah hundreds of years bago dumating ang Medo-Persia sa Babylonia. I will go before you and level the exalted places. I will break in pieces the doors of bronze and cut through the bars of iron. Sabi, ang ganda ng prediction ni Isaiah. Sabi niya, imposible ba pasukin ang Babylonia? No, I will go before you. And what will happen? I will level the exalted places. I will break the pieces of the doors of bronze. Mga tanso yan, mga pintong yan. And cut through the bars of iron. Akala ba hindi kayo makakapasok? Gagawa ako ng paraan. Akala ng mga Babylonians hindi mo mapapasok. Tutuyin natin itong tubig. Papatagin ko ang dadaanan nyo. Lahat ng mga sundalo makakapasok sa Babylon. For the sake of my servant Jacob and Israel my chosen, I call you by your name. I name you though you do not know me. This is one of the most marvelous passages of the prophecy in Isaiah. Anong sabi dito? For the sake of my servant Jacob, for the sake of Israel, for the sake, nang dahil sa aking bayan, na ibabalik ko sa Jerusalem. Sabi natin Panginoon, I called you by name. Tinawag kita, Cyrus. You don't know me. Even if you do not know me, I called you. What is the lesson there? Can God use anyone He wants to use? He can. Kung gugustuhin man, hindi, because He is sovereign, He can use anyone He uses. Sabi nga sa New Testament, nag-aawitan yung mga tao, pinupuri nila si Jesus. Patahimikin mo yan! Sabi ng mga saserdote, maingay masyado. Ano sabi ni Jesus? If you make them stop, even the stones will cry out. Well, tapos si Jesus, nagkaroon na isang bagyo one day, takot na takot yung mga disipulo. Ano sabi ni Jesus dun sa bagyo? Peace, be still. Even the winds and the waves obey Him. This is the kind of God who controls nature and people, and He decides who He uses. In this particular case, He already assigned Cyrus his purpose in life even before he was born, even if Cyrus did not know him. Isa pang magandang leksyon dan. How many of you believe that God knew you even before you were born? He did. And let me ask you a better question. How many of you know that before you were born, God knew you and God already has a purpose in your life? Alam natin yon, di ba? Kaya, what is the object of life? Let me just throw this in before we continue. The only object of life is not for you to figure out what kind of course you will take and what kind of profession you will land in. The object of life is to discover the purpose of God for you. Because when you do, and you follow the purpose of God, you will never fail. Ang mali sa atin, kadalasan, iniisip natin ito ang landas na dapat tatahakin, kinakalimutan natin ang layunin ng Diyos para sa ating buhay. Pinagpipilitan natin ang sarili nating ambisyon. And when you do that, you will not succeed because God has a plan and purpose for you. King Astyages dreamed that out of his daughter flowed the stream that flooded all of Asia. His interpreters told him that his pregnant daughter's son would overthrow his rule. This is a very fascinating story. Nung pinanganak daw si Cyrus, gumawa ng paraan ng kaaway para mamatay si Cyrus. Kano, papatayin ng demonyo si Cyrus, hindi maliligtas yung children of Israel. Pag hindi sila na-restore, hindi darating yung Messiah. Did you see the pattern? Christ will not come. So, Satan wanted to destroy Cyrus. Anong nangyari yung kwento dito? Sabi dun sa anecdote, nagkaroon daw ng pangitain. There was a dream out of the daughter of Astyages, which happens to be the father of this lady. Sabi, out of the daughter flowed the stream that flooded all of Asia. It means that this pregnant daughter's son would overflow his rule. Sabi ni Astyages, siya ang hari ng Persya. Sabi niya, naku, yung palang anak ko, buntis, manganganak. Sabi ng oracles, pag pinanganak yung batang yan, he will what? Overthrow his rule. Mawawala ang kingdom. Ano yung ginawa ni Astyages? Imagine ha, apo niya to. King Astyages hands over his grandson Cyrus to his trusted servant Harpagus and told him to kill his daughter's child. Okay? Yan ginawa niya. Sabi ni King Astyages, no, pag pinanganak yan, yung magiging apo ko, papalitan ako sa karyan. Ayaw kong mawala ang karyan ko. Yan ginawa niya. Kinuha niya yung kanyang trusted commander. Ang pangalan si Harpagus. Ito ang bata. Ang pangalan ng anak, si Cyrus. Patayin mo yung bata. Sabi ng lolo niya, patayin mo yung I can't even imagine that. Mahal na mahal kaya po. Ito, papatayin yung bata. Bakit? Ganun talaga mga ganit. If you're so greedy for power and you lust for power, it doesn't matter. You will even kill your own flesh just to retain your power. Harpagus could not bring himself to kill the child. Sabi niya, hindi ko pwedeng patayin yung bata yun. Bakit ko papatayin? What does he do instead? He gives Cyrus to a shepherd and his wife. Naghanap siya ng shepherd. Binigay si Cyrus para yung shepherd ang mag-alaga kay Cyrus. But even those guys couldn't kill the kid. So instead of killing, they decided to rear Cyrus as their own son. Yan, pasimula kay Astyages, gustong patayin si Cyrus. Sabi ng commander ni Astyages, hindi ko pwedeng patayin ang bata yan. Kaya ginawa niya, nagganap siya ng shepherd, kayo pumatay. Sabi naman ng shepherd, hindi ko rin kakain patayin ang bata yan. What happened? They decided to make Cyrus their own kid. They adopted Cyrus. This is not just a fascinating story. Are you seeing the picture here? Satan is trying to destroy Cyrus so that the Messiah cannot come. Who do you think spoke to Harpagus and to the shepherds not to kill Cyrus? Sino pa? Di ba ang Diyos ang gumawa noon? God intervened para hindi mapatay si Cyrus. Astyages placed Harpagus in command of the Median army to conquer Cyrus, but Harpagus contacted Cyrus before eventually defecting along with several of the nobility and the portion of the army. Yung alam ko nalagay ko dito, nangyari, naglaban si Cyrus eventually at saka si Astyages. Natalo ni Cyrus si Astyages. Alam niyo bakit natalo? Nalaman ni Astyages eventually na hindi pinatay ni Harpagus si Cyrus. Ang ginawa nitong si Astyages, para parusahan si Harpagus, kinuha yung anak ni Harpagus. Pagkakuha sa anak ni Harpagus, pinatay niya. Niluto yung anak ni Harpagus. Tapos inimbita niya si Harpagus na magkaroon ng party. Hinanda. They served the body of his son to be eaten by those people. Yeah, may cannibalism. Grabe talaga yung story na nangyari. And so, hindi naman siya makalaban, paano hari yun, pero he treasured that grudge in his heart. Sabi niya, galit na galit siya kay Astyages ng dahil sa ginawa sa kanyang anak. Kaya nung naglaban si Cyrus at saka si Astyages, he defected. Kumampi siya kay Cyrus, dahil nag-defect siya, he was the commander, natalo ni Cyrus si Astyages. Bakit ko kinikwentong lahat ito sa inyo? Because ang nagpapatakbo, hindi si Astyages si Harpagus, ang nagpapatakbo nung nangyayari ay ang Panginoon Diyos. He is doing that so that Cyrus can be preserved, and when Cyrus is preserved, the seed of the woman will be preserved, and the Messiah will come. Hindi nakikita ng maraming tao yan, pero nakabaon sa Daniel na kailangan ipanganak si Kristo, kaya lahat ng mga ito ay nangyayari. Nakita nila ito yung Cyrus cylinder, one of the most treasured archaeological finds na nakadisplay sa museum. Sabi niya, nakalagay din sa Cyrus cylinder. By the way, yung mga writings ng Babylonian is in cuneiform. Ibig sabihin cuneiform, wala silang libro. Hindi kagaya nitong Bible na nakikita natin dito. May mga pahina nakasulat. Meron tayong movable type. Nung kapanahon nila, malalaki ang libro. Kaya ang ginagawa nila, kumukuha sila ng clay tablets. Putik, no? Tapos kumukuha sila ng pointed cap. Pag didikit-dikitan lang nila yun, they have character sets. Tapos pag tumigas yun, makikita mo na. Kaya today, pag binabasa mo yung cuneiform tablets, mababasa mo ang civilization ng Babylonians and Sumerians. This is really fascinating. And one of those is the Cyrus cylinder. In the Cyrus cylinder, mababasa mo yung sinabi ni Cyrus. I am Cyrus, king of the world, great king, mighty king, king of Babylon. I well-disposed, entered Babylon. I established the seat of government in the royal palace amidst jubilation and rejoicing. It's very clear from archaeological finds that Cyrus conquered Babylon. When Babylon fell, it was Cyrus who was the conqueror. Actually, it was not Cyrus. Sino nag-conquer? Ang Diyos ang nag-conquer through Cyrus. All of them are put to shame and confounded. The makers of idols go in confusion together. So you must have seen, you must imagine what could have happened in the scene. Lasing yun lahat, okay? Lasing sila, nagiinuman, natakot dun sa writing on the wall. Habang nagiinuman sila, natatakot, in-explain ni Daniel sa kanya. Matapos explain ni Daniel, you are weighed in the balances and you are found wanting. $, quarter, you won't be a nickel. Paano mawawala ka? Your kingdom will be given to the Medes and Persians. All of a sudden, nagpasukan yung mga Persian soldiers. Lasing ka, kaya you're having an orgy in the palace. Ano sabi dito? They scattered in confusion because the soldiers came in. And when the soldiers came in, hinabol nila si Belshazzar. To me, every knee shall bow and every tongue shall swear allegiance. Gagamitin ito ni Paul later on. Pero sabi ng Panginoon, gagamitin kita, Cyrus, and through you, I will conquer Babylon. And you know what will happen? After I conquer Babylon, every knee shall bow. And every tongue shall swear allegiance to me. Sabi ng Panginoon Diyos, kahit na minura nila ako, even if they blasphemed, they got the golden vessels, there was sacrilegious celebration of this pagan ruler and his pagan cohorts. Anong gagawin? I will use Cyrus to invade you and conquer you. And when you are conquered, ano sabi niya? Every knee and every tongue will confess that I am God. That very night, Belshazzar, the Chaldean king, was killed. The last king of Babylon finally met its death, and the Babylonian Empire is over. The head of gold is over. Pumasok na yung chest of silver, which happens to be Medo-Persia. And Darius the Mede received the kingdom being about 62 years old. Dito ngayon nagsasabi, bakit ganun? Paulit-ulit mong sinasabi na si Cyrus ang magko-conquer. Bakit ang nakalagay dito, Darius the Mede? Let me explain that. Si Darius the Mede, sabi nila, more than likely was Gobryas, the general of Cyrus. Hindi si Cyrus mismo ang pumunta sa Babylon. Pinadala niya ang kanyang general. And in this particular case, it was Darius the Mede. Tauhan lang ni Cyrus. Pero dahil natalo ni Darius the Mede, si Belshazzar, he won the victory. Who gets the victory? The king gets the victory. Sino ba ang hari? Hindi si Darius the Mede. The king was Cyrus. Therefore, the victory of Darius was actually the victory of Cyrus. Okay? Kaya 62 years old natong si Darius nung pumasok siya sa Babylonia and conquered it. Yan, meron ditong isang kwentong gusto kong i-share sa inyo as we close our study here. Si King Herod, isa pa rin mayabang itong hari in the New Testament. And habang nagsasalita siya, he was a very great orator and people really loved him. Sabi nila, grabe! Sabi niyo, the voice of God and not of man. We're not listening to men anymore. We're listening to the voice of God. You're so eloquent. You're so good. Immediately, an angel of the Lord struck him down because he did not give God the glory, and he was eaten by worms and breathed his last. One of the most terrible death that has occurred in the New Testament. Si Herod daw, dumating ang kanyang kayabangan sa kanyang ulo, kinalimutan niya ang Diyos, hindi pinuri ang Diyos. Ano nangyari? He was struck dead by God, and before the people, kinain siya ng mga uod. He died. So reviewin natin. Ano bang nangyari? Ito nangyari. 3 pagkakamali, the pitfalls of Belshazzar. The first pitfall of Belshazzar is indulgence. Naglasingan, pumunta sa bisyo. He forgot that even food, even what you eat is part of worship. Remember, we started that? Whatever you eat, you must give glory to God. Anong ginawa ni Belshazzar? He didn't care. He wanted to consume food for his own sake. He indulged in pleasure. Hindi pa dinadaanan ng marami sa atin yan? Ba't ka pumapasok sa eskwelahan? Ba't ka naghahanap ng trabaho? Kaya ka naghahanap ng trabaho para kumita ka ng marami para magpasarap ka. And there's a very big danger na akala mo pag malaki na yung sinesweldo mo, ikaw meron ka ng maraming ari-arian, meron ka ng maraming possessions, iisipin mo, sige magpapasarap na ako, and you forget that it was God who gave you the power to earn money. Sabi ng Biblia, huwag mong kalilimutan ng Diyos ang nagpapala sa iyo. Belshazzar forgot that. He indulged in it. What was the next thing, the next problem of Belshazzar? The next problem that he had was indifference. Sabi nga ng mga historians, bago daw mag-party si Belshazzar, naglalakad siya dun sa Babylonian walls. Nakita niya yung mga Persian soldiers, thousands of Persian soldiers surrounded Babylon. Wala yung tatay niya, nasa Arabia, siya ang hari. Pero bakit tinawanan lang ni Belshazzar? Paano sabi niya, balik, na libo-libo kayo. Hindi kayo makakapasok sa wall namin. Ang kapal-kapal ng wall ng Babylon. You cannot penetrate the walls of Babylon. Kaya nangyari, even indifference. Meron nabasa akong isang article, kababasa-basa lang ni Mrs. nung article. Sabi nila, the definition of sin is not really violation, okay, or disobedience to the commandments. The definition of sin is indifference. Alam mo ibig sabihin ng indifference? When I say indifference, yung walang pakiramdam. Alam niyo ibig sabihin na walang pakiramdam? Kahit na anong gawin sa inyo, hindi kayo nagre-respond. You're lukewarm, you're not hot, you're not cold. Ang pinakamahirap, ayoko banggitin mga napapanood yun sa mga teleserye. Sagutin mo ako! Huwag kang tahimik. Magalit ka kung magalit, matuwa ako matuwa, pero huwag kang tumahimik. The worst form of all is indifference. And gano'n na nangyayari kadalasan sa atin. We're indifferent. Okay na yan. Kaya bahala na. I really don't care whether there's God or not. Basta okay lang. Mabuhay ako ngayon. Pag nabuhay ako, okay na yon. I don't care what I do with God and I don't care what I do with my life. So, because of indifference, akala mo masyado kang self-confident, kagaya ni Belshazzar, you will face your fall. Tapos ano yung pangatlo? Pangatlo is irreverence. Napansin niyo yung sequence? You will first indulge in pleasures. You will be indifferent to the glory of God. And once that happens, alam mo ang gagawin na susunod, you will be irreverent and you will not worship God. Anong ginawa niya? Pinpasok niya yung mga golden vessels and he didn't care whether they were the vessels of God. He blasphemed God. Hindi ba ganoon? Magpasarap ka muna. Tapos huwag mong pansinin ang ginagawa ng Diyos sa'yo. Before you know it, nagmumura ka na. Madali ka na magmura. Tapos sabi nga nung isang mag-anak sa England, sabi nung bata, Papi, Dad, what will I call my brother? Oh, we will call your brother Jesus. Paano Hispanic sila? Sabi ng bata, Papi, why will you call my brother after a cursed name? A cursed word. Para sa kanya, nadidinig lang niya ang pangalang Jesus pag may nagmumura. Isn't that sad? Ginagamit natin ang salita ng Diyos sa pagmumura. And that's what happened to Belshazzar. Sabi, mag-ingat ka. Tanda mo yung ginawa ng Diyos kay Nebuchadnezzar. And when you know what He did to humble Nebuchadnezzar, He'll come back and finally worship Him. Itong ating huling slide, gusto kong i-share sa inyo. Meron daw isang missionary nasa Africa. Tapos meron siyang anak na bata, laging sumasama sa kanya. One day, doon sila in the middle of the jungle, nakakita niya anak niya, labasanin, sabi ng tatay niya dun sa anak niya, drop! Crawl! Run! Tatlo ha? Dapa! Gapang! Takbo! Yung bata, na masunurin sa tatay niya, hindi na naghintay. Ano nangyari? Boom! Bagsak! Pagbagsak niya, he crawled, tapos tumakbo siya. And you know what he found out when he was far with his father? Up on top of him was what we call a black mamba. What is a black mamba? That's the deadliest snake in all the world. He was about to bite the child. Tutuklawin yung bata. Kaya ang ginawa ng tatay niya, pag lumabang ko doon, matutuklaw ka ang ginawa ng tatay niya. Una-una mong gagawin, dapa, para hindi ka abutan. Tapos, gapang, takbo. E nakatakbo siya. Anong sikreto? He obeyed his dad unconditionally. Worship is giving God the benefit of the doubt and give Him total dependence so that whatever He tells you, you follow Him right away. At hindi siya magbibigay sa iyo ng dapat mong gawin na hindi ikabubuti ng buhay mo. Nagkamali si Belshazzar. He didn't do that and he was judged. I hope that doesn't happen to us. Instead, let's follow God with all of our hearts and learn to worship Him. Tayo po'y manalangin. Heavenly Father, thank you for this powerful and moving story of Belshazzar. Make us understand that if we are not careful, if we indulge, we become indifferent to your glory. We will be irreverent and we will not learn to worship you anymore. And when that happens, Lord, something dreadful will come to our lives. Turuan po kami na matakot sa inyo. Hindi matakot ng dahil kami nanginginig, kundi gumalang at sumamba sa inyo. At pag nagawa po namin yon, sana malaman namin ang tunay na kaligayahan and the true fulfillment that comes from worshiping you alone. Teach us not to be like Belshazzar. Instead, teach us to be like Nebuchadnezzar, who will be willing to humble ourselves before you, submit to you, worship you, and obey you as our God. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Nakatapos po tayo. Salamat po at nakasama namin kayo sa pag-aaral. Sa susunod po nating episode, pag-aaralan naman natin yung paboritong kwento ng mga bata, Daniel in the Lion's Den. Okay? Itatapon si Daniel dun sa mga leon. And we will see how God protects him. Again, another stand for God, somebody who much rather die for God than go after his own welfare. So inaasahan po namin, sasamahan nyo kami muli sa ating pag-aaral ng Daniel dito po sa production ng LL7 Sola Scriptura Ministries.